I was sitting on the couch and I was thinking to myself, I need to get out to the garage and make a video. So I wrote down on this piece of paper right here, 5 steps to get started working on cars. We're gonna keep this short and sweet, not a whole lot of editing and cutting and whatnot. We're just gonna talk about it. I want you to want to work on cars. This is a great hobby. I wanna get you into it and I want you to stay in it. So let's talk about those 5 things. The first thing you're gonna need, of course, are tools. Now, we're gonna go through this. I don't have a list of tools that I think you're gonna need or whatnot, but we'll just go ahead and talk about it as I look through my toolbox and put some stuff back in it here. So let's start with ratchets and sockets. Obviously, this is very important. You're going to need a combination of sockets, or ratchets rather, and sockets. So anything that's specialty like this big ass 54 millimeter socket, these are things you get along the way. Don't waste your money getting a ton of tools that you might not even need to get started. You should definitely start with one of those cheap like 200 piece mechanic starter kits, and then you can get things like torque wrenches and stuff along the way. But for the most part, you're gonna need at least these sizes here. If you're working on any, Japanese or German car, you're gonna want probably from say like a 6 millimeter socket up to like 20 millimeter or so. Find a good way to organize them, or if you of course get the case, they will already all be organized. You're going to want at least a 1/4 inch and a 3/8 and a 1/2 inch ratchet. And you can see these tools here are from Capri. And then you're gonna also want some breaker bars because there are stubborn bolts that are not gonna come out. Working on cars is not as glorious as it seems. We'll get to that. You're probably also gonna want an assortment of deep sockets and standard sockets. Each tool has their place, their reason to be used, and you're very often gonna need a deep socket. Get yourself a nice set of extensions for each of your different socket sizes. Get some adapters here to go from various ratchets. You can step up here. This will take you from a 3/8 ratchet to a 1/2 inch ratchet. That'll be good to pick up. Get an assortment of those adapters. You're definitely going to want hex head sockets or Allen sockets. These are very useful, and you're going to want to get some of those. Depending on what you're working on, you're going to need Torx or security Torx. Totally depends. On a Japanese car, Torx are not going to be in there that much. German cars, I'm assuming they're all over the place. I don't know. I work on Japanese cars, not German cars yet. So you're definitely going to want some of these. I just noticed the camera kept going out of focus, so I changed the aperture. Hopefully this helps. You're definitely going to want to get an assortment of wrenches too. Again, this will come with those mechanic kits you can get from Pep Boys or Advanced Auto or O'Reilly's or any of those kind of places. But for the most part, you're going to want a nice assortment of wrenches, and make sure if you're going to touch your brakes or work on your brakes, you get a nice set of line wrenches. You do not want to strip important brake nuts and other things associated with stopping the car. Stopping is way more important than going fast. You need to be able to stop fast too. It's not the speed that will kill you, it's stopping suddenly and immediately, or however that quote goes. You know what I mean. Get yourself a crescent wrench or two. This is my little small one that I hardly ever use, but I mainly use this guy right here. Or get yourself a nice set of plier wrenches, or a pliers wrench from Icon or any other brand. I can't think of what the other one is called. Nipex, I think, is the nice one, but this works just fine. These are great. This drawer is a disaster, but you get the picture. You're gonna need an assortment of screwdrivers. You're gonna want Phillips, you're gonna want flathead, you're gonna want stubby, you're gonna want all the different sizes. There's a variety of screws that are in cars, especially in the interior, and if you're working on motorcycles, you're gonna wanna get yourself some JIS bits so you don't strip those important bolts that hold on things like, say, a stator or any maybe bar ends or controls or any of that stuff. This will really help you. An impact driver is also, or an impact screwdriver is also a very nice tool to have. This basically, you hit the back of it with a hammer and it loosens up stubborn screws. Now, once again, you'll start adding to your collection as you figure out what you need. So here we have all my pliers. Again, this is a mess. I have a bunch of pliers tossed around the shop right now, but you're gonna want at least a pair of standard pliers here, pair of dikes or cutters, whatever you want to call it. You know, probably not allowed to say what I said a couple seconds ago anymore. You're going to want a pair of needle nose, and an assortment of different shapes and sizes of needle nose really helps. This is the most important tool in the world. This is a vice grip. This is when a bolt is rounded off, or you can't find the right size, you know, or you need a hammer. A vice grip is a great tool. This right here is a pair of spark plug pliers. Not necessary, but it really helps to pull off stubborn boots, especially if they're in hard to reach areas. We have a pair of wire strippers right here, which if you're doing any kind of electrical work, wire strippers are a must. And there are a better type of stripper. I'll show you. These guys right here, they're automatic. You put the wire in there, you do it, strips it for you. Way better. Let's see, anything else we have in here? Specialty tool here. These are piston ring pliers. If you're just starting out, you're not going to be using these unless you go and you buy a 240SX. The first thing you're going to be doing is building an engine for it, so you might need those. But again, specialty tools, things you will add over time. A nice pair of snap ring pliers or circlip pliers will save you a lot of headache. Make sure that you don't cheap out on these. Get yourself a nice pair of these. It's definitely worth it. They even make ones that have different tips that you can swap out, like these guys right here. These are definitely not required, but will speed things up quite a bit. Any sort of battery operated tool. This right here is a DeWalt impact driver. You know, you can have your own preference on Milwaukee versus whatever, but it works. Christmas present, I've had it for years. It does just fine. And finishing off, if you are wanting to get into wiring, you're gonna wanna get a multimeter. This is good for troubleshooting. As I already said, wire stripper. You're gonna want a soldering gun, electrical tape, stuff like that. Then we have, the most important drawer of all, pry bars. Get yourself a nice selection of pry bars. Parts are not going to come off how you think they're going to come off. You're probably going to have to pry them off. Get yourself some nice pry bars. And hammers. Get yourself some hammers. I have a collection here of various hammers. If you use a hammer like this and you record it, people are going to freak out and say, oh, he doesn't know how to work on cars. Dude, it's a hammer, all right? There's different cases for each type of hammer. For example, if I want to hammer on something that I do not want to mar or mushroom or mess up, we're going to use a softer metal here like brass. So a brass hammer is really good for that kind of job. But if we're just smashing something, we get this guy right here, right? Or we can use your standard, I wouldn't really call that a framing hammer. Let's just call that your standard hammer. Works just fine. You're going to want a rubber mallet for those delicate materials as well. Get yourself a dead blow as well. You do not have to go hardcore with these. Just go to Harbor Freight. Pick them up for cheap. I think that's about it for basic tools to get started. I started with a very simple, like 200-piece kit from Pep Boys. I still have it today. I don't use it as much, but I still have it, and it got me very far. I worked as a motorcycle mechanic for years using just that kit and then whatever other tools that the mechanic shop had when I worked there. But for the most part, I was just using my sockets, my ratchets, and my wrenches, and my screwdriver from that basic kit. If I think of anything else, I'll put it on the screen as we go through this video. But the second thing I want to talk about is start with small projects. Do not, for whatever reason, make your first car project an engine swap or something crazy like that, a transmission swap, a massive brake overhaul. Don't start with that kind of project as your first project. Start simple. Start by installing some aftermarket plug-and-play seats or a shift knob, or go buy yourself a set of wheels and tires and put some wheels on it, or maybe swap out your brake pads. Do something very easy that'll make it easier for you to keep working on the car and keep wanting to work on the car. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Trust me, it's very easy to get deep into it and get extremely overwhelmed. Don't start taking apart a million things if you don't know what you're doing and you can't organize all the things that you're doing, whether it's even tossed on the floor like the mess that's going on in here, or you have it very well organized. Don't do something so difficult that you won't want to finish it, and then you end up selling your project car. You see it all the time. And that brings us to number 3. Do not do big projects on your daily driver. Don't do it. Don't do anything on your daily driver that you can't get back together by Monday, unless you just like that torture of being up all day, all night to get something fixed and figure it out so that you can get to work on Monday. Don't do it. Do very, very small projects on your daily driver as you learn and you get better. Then start taking on the more complicated things. And even then, things do not always go as they're planned. So make sure that if you only have one method of transportation, don't make that your project car. I know it kind of sucks to hear that, and not everyone is going to have the funds to get a project car and a daily driver. But unless you have the expertise to keep that thing running, don't start off learning how to work on cars by doing huge projects on a daily driver. It's just a really bad idea. Start small, just like the previous step. Go install a front lip or something, put a body kit on it. At least if you can't get the bumper back on, the car will still drive, right? You can still get to work. So just a tip. Number 4 is expectation versus reality. Working on cars is not like how it is in the movies. It's not, I'm over here just laughing because it is so much more frustrating. Things do not just go together. Parts do not just come off. Parts do not magically just fall back on the car. Working on cars is hard, but you can make it fun. But don't expect it to just go like the movies, okay? Bolts are gonna break, things are gonna rust, parts are not gonna fit, you're gonna get frustrated, and you're gonna break things, and that's just the way that it is. So set your expectations. Do not think that you're just going to put something together perfectly. This did not just go together. I have years of experience building cars, building engines. This does not just go together. Things do not go as planned. Things go wrong. That's why we're here. That's why everything's apart, because something went wrong with the previous engine. We had to tear everything back apart, put everything back together. And now, a year later, we just got the engine bay painted and it's beautiful, but there's a lot of things going wrong. I mean, you can see the brake parts on this table. One of the things that just went wrong is in a previous clip. This master cylinder is not produced anymore because it's a right-hand drive Supra. You cannot find these. So I'm trying to figure out, will that new master cylinder internals fit inside of this to rebuild this master cylinder, or should I just bend new brake lines and use the left-hand drive one? Things don't go as planned. We have the clutch master cylinder here. The secondary spring in there is broken, Things are going to break. Things aren't going to work. Things aren't going to go as planned. That's just the way that it goes with cars. But I will say, when things do go right, everything does go according to plan, it is the best feeling in the world. There is nothing better than working on your car and everything just working out as you expected it to in your head. And the last thing is to just make it fun. This is supposed to be a fun thing. Working on cars can be frustrating, as I already said, but you need to do things to make it fun. As I said at the beginning of the video, I want you to want to work on cars, to keep working on cars, to make it a hobby, to make it part of your life. And to do that, you have to make it fun. Spend time watching car videos on YouTube, subscribe to car channels, read forum boards for your certain kind of car. Like for the Supra, there's Supra forums. For my Land Cruiser, there's Land Cruiser forums. Become a member of the community, talk to other people, learn things about your platform, build parts lists, find a way to get passionate about what you're doing. And if you can't find a way to get passionate about working on cars, then maybe just don't, Like, working on cars is supposed to be a very fun thing, a soothing thing, at the same time a very frustrating thing, but it's fun, and it's a very supportive, awesome community. There's a lot of cool events you can go to, people you can meet, sports that you can get into involving cars. You got autocross, drag racing, drifting, off-roading, overlanding, rock. There's so many different things you can do with cars. Cars are amazing. So you got to find a way to make it fun. Wow, we didn't spill it.
Watch your goddamn mouth.
Really. I know. Oh, it's coming out. It's coming out in the tube. I always get asked in my comments, how did I learn how to work on cars? And I will admit to you guys, my dad is a huge gearhead, so I learned a lot from that. But I'm also very obsessed with cars. So I spend a lot of time reading on forums and then going out and trying it, breaking something, fixing it, and then learning the right way to do it. I spend a lot of time reading and watching videos and then going out there and taking that action to actually go and try it. And I really loved it. And I just kept on working on cars, and I got better and better at it. And I still learn things every single time that I work on a car. So it's a constant learning experience. It's a constant form of progression. You're always going to be learning and getting better, and that's just what it is. So hope this was helpful. Subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.